Hello everyone and welcome back to LewisFiction, and in today's fanfiction I'm bringing you Phase 7 to the Spider-Man cinematic universe. If you haven't seen Phases 1 through 6 yet, I'll leave a link to Phase 1 in the description down below. Make sure you're subscribed for future fanfictions, and also make sure to comment down below for fanfictions you'd like to see in the near future. With that being said, let's get straight into this. The first film in this phase will be simply titled The Hunter, which will be a film that follows Kraven's redemption. If you remember, Kraven made his first appearance in the universe all the way back in Phase 2 in Spider-Man Identity Crisis during the college trilogy of Peter Parker. He then went on to be a member of the Sinister Six in Spider-Man Generations, the film in which Green Goblin killed Gwen Stacy whilst leading the Six. After spending many years in prison, this film will be about Kraven finally getting released and his redemption arc. We will learn that he has realized he was way in over his head when he was younger, and he had too much ego and pride within himself to be better than Spider-Man. But now he's out, he wants to focus on family. The villain of this film will be a mysterious entity in the shadows, but someone who is trying to recruit him for a deadly mission. When Kraven refuses, and after being on the run for a while, the organization takes Kraven's family hostage, leaving him with no option other than to comply with them. By the end of the film, it's revealed that the organization's ulterior motive is Spider-Man related. The next film in Phase 7 will be titled Spider-Man: Kraven's Last Hunt, which will take a tragic turn for our characters. This film will explore a theme in which we haven't quite touched on yet throughout the universe. Kraven doesn't want to be a villain. He doesn't want to hunt Spider-Man again, but is forced to due to the complications given to him by the organization. During the film, Miles will be trying to buy a house with Kate, as they are trying to settle down after he proposed to her in the last film. They're currently dealing with money troubles, so haven't gotten married just yet. And because of this film will see them go through a difficult patch in their relationship, because Miles is focused on trying to get them away from Kraven and hide. This film will be about throwing Miles into adult life and seeing how he reacts, sort of like how Captain America the Winter Soldier was about putting Steve Rogers into a certain environment he wasn't used to, which was the 21st century. We get to see how Miles reacts to adult problems while still fighting crime as Spider-Man. To get his family back, Kraven stops at nothing until he gets his hands on Spider-Man, and even threatens to kill Kate. In the end, Miles breaks through to him and they become partners. They end up helping each other to track down the man behind the organization together, until in the final act, it is revealed that all this time it was Silvermane behind it all. Silvermane bailed out of prison and still had unfinished business with Spider-Man. It turns out he was obsessing over him all this time during his imprisonment. And now that he's out, he's ready for the final showdown. In this universe, I want to make Miles' big overall bad Silvermane, similar to how Peter's is Norman Osborn and Doc Ock. In the fight, Kraven is killed by Silvermane, capping off a tragic story for that character. Miles barely escapes with his life as Silvermane is back in full force. The next film in the phase is called Two Crooks, One Crime, something a little different than we're used to. However, this film will be a crime thriller as we follow Flint Marko and Alex O'Hearn as a crime partnership. It'll be a buddy cop film without the cop part. I also imagine a Thelma and Louise type vibe with this one as they are running away from the police. Flint will just want to provide for his family, and as you can see, family is becoming a massive theme of this phase already. At the end of the film, a dark figure who was revealed to be Silvermane is there to recruit Flint and Alex to his organization for a special project. And in a surprising turn of events, the next film in the phase is called The Spectacular Spider-Girl, in which we follow Mayday Parker, who is now 14 years old and on her way to becoming Spider-Girl. It has been 3 years since the events of Kraven's Last Hunt, and since there has been many time jumps and gaps, Mayday has now grown up on the sidelines, but is now ready to take the stride into becoming Spider-Girl. This film will follow her as she discovers her powers, and will also reintroduce us to Mary Jane Watson. She is a single mother and doesn't want her family from this point forward to have anything to do with Spider-Man. Even though it was Peter's legacy, she doesn't want her daughter to have the same fate. However, this restriction from her father's career and history leads to an extended curiosity for Mayday, which leads her to discovering some of the things her father got up to during his time as Spider-Man, in which she discovers her powers. This film will be very youthfully, and I can imagine the vibe being similar to that of Spider-Man Homecoming. She's a kid who just wants to have fun with her superpowers. This will put a rift between her and her mother, which will lead to Mayday being even more rebellious. The villain of this film will be Alex O'Hearn, aka the Rhino. As Silvermane's reign over New York continues, He recognizes Spider-Man's powers through Mayday and then decides to go after her with Alex O'Hearn, who has undergone a transformation to become the Rhino. Silvermane at this point in the story will not realize that this is a brand new Spider-Person on the scene, but will still go after Mayday anyway. Mayday will quickly realize that she's in too deep, but ignores her mother's cry to stop and carries on anyway, saying that that's what her father did. Now you guys are probably wondering, where is Miles Morales during all of this? We come to learn that Miles Morales is actually gone and is nowhere to be seen, and no one knows where he is or why. So it's down to Mayday to overcome the Rhino by herself. She eventually does, and Mary Jane realizes that this day was going to happen sometime in the future, no matter what. Mary Jane knew that one day Mayday was going to have an inevitable curiosity about Spider-Man and her father's legacy. Mayday was always destined to become Spider-Girl, in the footsteps of her father. The next film in this phase is called Spider-Man Family Crime. This film will heavily be a Miles and Kate story, focusing in on how Miles' life as Spider-Man has affected them over the last few years. This film will also take place 3 years since Kraven's Last Hunt, around the same time in which the Spectacular Spider-Girl takes place. Miles and Kate will live somewhere far out of the way where they can't be detected by Silvermane. They both decided that it would be the best for them, but when we rejoin them in this film, it's really starting to take a toll. Kate just wants to live a normal life, get married, and have children. She wants to see her family, but she can't because every time she goes out, there's an innate possibility that she might get a bullet through her chest. Miles apologizes, but says Silvermane for the last 3 years has had New York under lockdown, and it's personal between them. During this time, Miles has still been on his Spider-Man duties, just less frequently, and in less populated areas. And Silvermane will not stop at nothing until Miles is dead. This film will be about Miles running away from his problems instead of dealing with them. Instead of taking on Silvermane, and after losing his father, his uncle, and Peter, he decides to retreat instead. However, the lives of all the New Yorkers are still in danger the longer Silvermane hangs around New York. Miles will also learn of Mayday, and this will be their first crossover around Act 3 of the film. The villain of this film will be the Sandman, as Miles returns to New York to finally face Silvermane. Once again, just like the Spectacular Spider-Girl, Silvermane will send Flint Marko out as the Sandman. Sandman believes that if he does everything Silvermane says, he can return to his family with a large sum of money and be okay. However, Flint Marko is manipulated easily and Silvermane just uses him as his pawn. And he is completely defeated when Miles gets the help of Mayday and they team up to take down the Sandman. And we will end the film in a complete opposite way to the first Miles film in this trilogy, with Miles getting a win. He started with a loss, but now it's one apiece, and it's time for the final showdown. And here we are, Spider-Man Last Stand. This film will be the final film in Phase 7, and the coming together of Miles and Silvermane in one last outing. This film will see Miles and Mayday team up to try and take down Silvermane. As much as this will be a film about Miles finally wrapping up his lifelong story, we will also see Miles and Mayday develop their relationship in a father-daughter-like manner. Miles will be filling in that Peter Parker role in this film, meaning his character has come full circle from being the student to being the mentor. This film will take up the opportunity for Miles to train Mayday to be the best version of herself. I could also imagine a really nice scene where Miles tells Mayday about Peter and what he was like, since Mayday was quite young when he died. Miles would tell stories about Peter and the battles they fought together. Miles would tell Mayday her father inspired a whole generation, including him. It's the image, the legacy he created by being Spider-Man. Everything the mask stands for was created by the moral values of Peter Parker, and it will be continued for decades to come through Miles and eventually Mayday. I really want this film to have a somber, sweet feel to it. That this film is a celebration of what it means to be Spider-Man as we reminisce over the legacy put down by Peter Parker and continued by Miles Morales. Mayday will be more involved in this film than the last, and this will be their first proper team-up where they both take lead roles in the film. Kate Bishop and Mary Jane will also feature prominently as well. And as talked about before, Silvermane will be the main villain. It will be all-out war with Silvermane throwing everything he has at Miles. During Act 2, it will all seem like it's lost, when Miles visits none other than his uncle in prison. And since Uncle Aaron used to work for Silvermane, Miles will ask his uncle how to beat him. Uncle Aaron has matured a lot in prison, and we will see a spark between the two. Maybe their relationship as uncle and nephew isn't quite over. After all, Aaron just wants the best for Miles. He is his uncle after all. Miles will use tactics and information gathered from his uncle to beat Silvermane once and for all. Miles doesn't have an arc in this film. He doesn't have a lesson to learn. He just has all of his knowledge to apply. Everything that he has been put through, all the lessons he has learnt, will be expressed internally and externally in this film. Whether it'll be his fighting, whether it'll be his mental courage to carry on, as this was his final test. Likewise, Mayday will start her path of growth in a similar fashion to how Miles did under Peter Parker. It'll be like poetry. And with that, we come to a close in Phase 7. Miles will eventually get a good job and has some time to focus on being with Kate. He becomes a school teacher in engineering. And just in a similar vein to how Phase 5 ended, Miles will be at his new job when from out of the window he sees a crime taking place far in the distance. His students rushing to the window to see the commotion. And before he could think of a way to drop his class to attend the situation, he sees Mayday in the distance swinging towards the scene. He smiles and tells his class to get back to work as he continues to teach. And that is it. We have come to the end of Phase 7 of the Spider-Man Cinematic Universe. There will be no TV shows in this phase because I really wanted this to feel like an ending of a generation, an ending of a legacy for Spider-Man. There are places and avenues and doors to be opened for the story to be continued and grow in different places. But at this point in time, this is a very sweet and somber ending at the same time. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit a like on it and also tell me what you think in the comment section down below. Do you want to see a Phase 8? Because Phase 8, I think, will be very different. And personally, I think we are kind of running out of stories to tell, villains to explore, and different things to do. I don't want to end up repeating myself by telling the same arcs for every single Spider-Man to come, because I've got to stop somewhere. But I think this is a good jumping off point for now. But let me know if you want to see more stories in the future, and if you want to see Phase 8. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, and peace.